Welcome to day 24 of our epic 40-day 2025 Pacific Northwest road trip as we travel from Mount Rainier National Park to Olympic National Park in Washington State. First, we hike the Hall of Mosses Trail in the Hoh Rain Forest, then check out a foggy Rialto beach before heading to our cabin in Sol Duc Hot Springs. We traveled a total of 340 miles on day 24. Before leaving Mount Rainier National Park, we made a brief stop at Christine Falls Bridge to view our final waterfall in Rainier. And here's Christine Falls. We're on our way out, so we're not going to use the other one, but it would go further down here. Christine Falls is a signature 69-foot multi-tiered waterfall with an upper drop of 32 feet and a lower drop of 37 feet, and is fed by glacial meltwater from Van Trump Creek. It is framed by the Christine Falls Bridge, a historic reinforced concrete arch bridge faced with native stone, constructed in 1928. We now made our way to Olympic National Park. Olympic National Park spans nearly 1 million acres on Washington State's Olympic Peninsula. It is internationally recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site due to the park sprawling across several different ecosystems, from the dramatic glacier-clad peaks of the Olympic Mountains to old-growth temperate rainforests and over 70 miles of wild Pacific coastline. As we approached Olympic National Park on Highway 101, it became apparent that we were entering the rainforest. We're driving towards Olympic National Park, and you can already see all the clouds going into the rainforest areas. The Hoh Rain Forest is a temperate rainforest which receives up to 140 inches of rain annually. This emerald wonderland features ancient massive trees heavily draped in hanging mosses. We're now driving on the road into the Hoh Rain Forest. Hopefully we'll be able to get in without too much of a wait or anything. Due to massive summer popularity, the entrance encounters severe crowding. Although 1 to 2 hour wait times are common, we were fortunate to only wait about 30 minutes before entry. And we are at Olympic National Park, the Hoh Rain Forest. The Hoh Rain Forest earns its name from the ever-flowing Hoh River that carves its way from Mount Olympus towards the Pacific coast. The name originates from Native American languages, possibly the Quileute word ohalet, which means fast-moving water or snow water. We've made it through the gate. Now it's only 5 miles to the visitor center, and hopefully you can pick up trails there. I'm hoping there isn't more that you have to go through to get to the trails. Driving to the visitor center after passing the gate. Trees are beautiful. The Hoh Rain Forest Visitor Center is the main gateway to one of the most prominent temperate rainforests in the United States. National Park Service rangers provide trail maps, safety insights, and regional conditions. Educational displays highlighting the unique flora, fauna, and massive temperate canopy are also there. The Visitors Center serves as the direct anchor point for the area's trails. We elected to hike the 0.8-mile Hall of Mosses Trail, an iconic loop that took us through an old-growth forest and featured a grove of maple trees draped with abundant club moss. And we'll be doing the Hall of Mosses Trail. Hello there, birds. Here's a nice tall tree. This tree is a Sitka spruce, easily identified by its massive trunk, scaly grayish-brown bark, and dense coniferous canopy typical of the Pacific Northwest rainforests. We took the Hoh Visitor Center mini trail to where it connects with the Hall of Mosses trail. And this is called the Hall of Mosses trail. Here we hike the gravel trail as it passes by towering trees draped in thick curtains of hanging mosses and lush undergrowth. We now came to where Taft Creek passes under the trail.
That's how they started. Fry. Small fry.
The tranquil wetland stream features vibrant green aquatic plants and mosses thriving along the wooden boardwalk. The bright green color in the water comes from dense submerged vegetation, likely freshwater algae or aquatic mosses thriving in the clear, sunlit water. The large fallen tree trunks visible in the stream serve as vital nurse logs, providing nutrients, water, and shelter for new plant life and seedlings to grow. Thick hanging pendulous moss covers the branches and trunks of the Sitka spruce, western hemlock, and big leaf maple, giving the woods a bright green look. Mosses on the trees are amazing. The Hoh Rain Forest receives an average of 140 inches of precipitation annually. This extreme moisture fuels the incredibly vibrant ecosystem. Here can be seen thick drapes of cattail moss, Isothecium stoloniferum, an epiphytic moss famous for forming thick drooping mats on branches, especially in the damp forests of the Pacific Northwest. We now came to the spot where the Hall of Mosses loop began. Very cool looking tree. And we get to cross under this crossed trees. This large, gnarled ancient tree trunk with twisted wood grain, hollowed fluted base, and complex root flare shows centuries of growth, typical of old-growth trees that serve as nurse logs for younger plants, like the bright green vine maple seen growing from it. These two massive intersecting logs framing the path are old-growth tree trunks that fell naturally over the trail. Park rangers cleared the space beneath them to keep the path open, creating a popular natural tunnel for hikers to pass through, and it is a famous landmark location along the Hall of Mosses trail. We continued on the loop portion of the trail. This high sprawling evergreen canopy filtering the daylight is a group of old-growth Coast Douglas firs. Here's a really tall tree. And here's more trees. This is a nurse stump which plays a vital role in forest regeneration within temperate rainforest ecosystems. The rotting tree stump provides a rich, elevated nursery environment where new tree saplings can take root and thrive. As the dead wood decays, it acts like a slow-release sponge packed with moisture and organic nutrients, crucial for young seedlings. The physical height of the stump elevates small saplings above competitive forest floor brush, helping them catch vital sunlight, and protects delicate young roots from soil-borne pathogens and damping off diseases prevalent on the forest floor. Over decades, the stump completely rots away, often leaving the grown tree standing on stilt-like, hollowed structural roots. We continued along the loop trail. This weathered standing dead tree trunk is known as a snag in old-growth temperate rainforests. At the top, tiny green seedlings are already using its elevated nutrient-dense surface to take root and grow into the next generation of trees. We now headed out on the trail spur to the spot called Hall of the Mosses.
Look at these trees from like this point of view over here. With the color difference. So pretty.
It's quite the little walk. Here we can see towering Sitka spruce and western hemlock covered in hanging club moss and lichens. The massive straight-trunked Douglas fir trees in this grove routinely reach staggering heights of 270 to nearly 300 feet. Here we see cavitied snags, weathered standing dead trees with natural holes inside that serve as critical homes, resting spots, and nesting sites for forest wildlife. They support numerous species including primary excavators like woodpeckers and secondary users like bluebirds, owls, and small mammals. This is an iconic ghost nurse stump. Over decades or centuries, the original interior nurse stump completely rots away and disappears. This leaves behind a hollow structure cage of interlocking stilted roots, making it look like a tree standing on stilts or a woody ghost structure. We are now back onto the loop trail. And this is what we can see from the viewpoint.
So like swoopy in the winter, something like in the fall.
Here in the understory can be seen dense mats of the western sword fern, a robust evergreen perennial native to moist coniferous rainforests. The dramatic vase-shaped rosette of glossy leather fronds typically matures to 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. This T-shaped stump is a famous natural landmark known colloquially as Bigfoot's Bench or the Moss Elephant. We now reach the midpoint of the trail. This is a stilt tree or tree on tiptoes that germinated on top of a nurse stump. Centuries ago, a giant old-growth tree died, leaving behind a massive stump. Over time, moss, fungi, and lichens covered the wood, retaining moisture and creating a rich raised seedbed called humus. A seed from a new tree landed and sprouted on top of the stump. To secure more water and stability, the young sapling sent its roots downward, wrapping closely around the outside flanks of the host stump to reach the actual soil below. Over many decades, the original nurse stump naturally rotted away. Because the newer tree's roots had already grown to be thick, woody, and self-supporting, it was left standing high in the air on elevated, stilt-like roots, preserving the exact shape and size of the stump that used to be there. We continued our hike and observed the rainforest. This was at the How Big Do They Grow interpretive sign. There's a whole bunch here that have been cut so that you can count the rings if you're so inclined. Here are cut tree stumps with visible annual growth rings. Each ring on the flat top shows 1 year of the tree's life. You can count them to find out how old a tree was when it was cut. Wide rings mean the tree grew well that year, while thin rings means the weather was dry or cold. Here is another nurse log. You can see the young saplings growing on it. Here are hemlock and Sitka spruce trees growing over a nurse log. This stop was at the interpretive sign titled A Giant's Dimensions. And here's one of the fallen trees. Give you an idea how tall it is. And it's still going on. And here's that tree's dimensions. Trunk's 190 feet long, but the spruces average 220 feet tall, and some grow over 300. We now made our way to Rialto Beach. And here we are at Rialto Beach. This is a massive driftwood root pole resting on the beach. The beach is scattered with immense sun-bleached old-growth tree trunks and intricate tangled root systems. These trees are typically uprooted from inland rainforests during winter storms, carried out to sea via rivers, and pushed back ashore by heavy ocean surf. The rugged shoreline is famous for its tree graveyard, a dramatic stretch of coastline heavily littered with a massive accumulation of bleached driftwood logs and towering wind-blasted tree trunks deposited by powerful ocean storms. This is looking towards the iconic sea stacks in James Island, a towering 160-foot tall, heavily forested island along with its counterpart, Little James Island. They are located near the mouth of the Quileute River. James Island, known as Akalat or Top of the Rock in the Quileute language, rests on traditional Quileute tribe land. It historically served as a fortified village, lookout for migrating whales, and a sacred burial site for tribal chiefs. Because it is a sacred cultural site, public access onto the island itself is strictly restricted. Dadela Island is a small, lushly forested islet and sea stack. It features a highly recognizable blocky profile with a prominent jagged central peak and a separate detached vertical pillar or sea stack standing directly off its right flank. Like many of the offshore stacks along this coastline, it provides vital nesting grounds for sensitive marine bird colonies and rest stops for bald eagles. It is a protected sanctuary within the Quileute Needles National Wildlife Refuge. These are some unnamed sea stacks located off the coast of Washington. As the fog had begun rolling in, we decided to head to our cabin in Sol Duc Hot Springs. The Sol Duc Valley is a diverse, multifaceted wilderness destination located in the northwestern region of Olympic National Park. Its name translates to sparkling water in the native Quileute language, referencing the vibrant Sol Duc River that flows through the valley. Sol Duc Hot Springs Resort is a rustic, historic lodging property located deep within Olympic National Park. It is famous for its natural hot spring pools and direct access to old-growth forest hiking trails. Overnight cabin stays at the resort include complimentary access to all hot springs and pools, making it a premier wellness and hide-and-soak destination in the Pacific Northwest. And this is our cabin in Olympic. Probably one of our favorites so far.
Most roomy so far.
Yeah. Yep. Looks pretty good. And we have a parking space. Mary and I thank you for watching day 24 of our 2025 Pacific Northwest road trip, where we traveled to the Hoh Rain Forest in Olympic National Park after a brief stop at Christine Falls and Mount Rainier National Park. We hiked the Hall of Mosses Trail in the Hoh Rain Forest after a short wait to get in. We then headed to Rialto Beach on the Washington coast. We only spent a short time there as a blanketing fog began to roll in from the Pacific Ocean. We then headed to Sol Duc Valley for our stay in a rustic cabin at Sol Duc Hot Springs Resort. We hope you'll join us for day 25, where we continue our exploration of Olympic National Park. We begin the day at Hurricane Ridge, then visit Madison Falls and Marymere Falls. We return to an even foggier Rialto Beach before stopping for dinner at the Twilight Treaty Line. We then finish the day relaxing in the hot springs at our resort.